sister. Move, 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 move.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Ready? I'm catching it.
Wow.
I made myself move.
I'm ready when you are. I'm ready whenever.
Ready, set, go. Wow.
Time. All right, whenever you're ready. What, stop? You already or what? Huh? No, you didn't.
You're like a trash dude. Oh
I
my
tell
God.
you.
Yes.
Okay, I'm recording.
Got it.
Sisters, which triggered a duty under the 14th Amendment for the school to protect the students from harm. I submit that it did not. Although their claim can establish that there was state action on the part of the Department of Education, the appellants cannot establish that the Department of Education and Principal Friday created a dangerous situation for the Bradway sisters or that they rendered them more vulnerable to it. As the Cheney v. Winnebago County makes clear, the Due Process Clause does not protect private individuals from harm, even if there's a deprivation of life, liberty, or property interests. However, if the state does create a dangerous situation for a person or makes a person more vulnerable to it, then there is a duty to protect. The U.S. Supreme Court made it...
Well, didn't the agent of the Department of Education create this situation by bringing Ms. Keynes into this school?
And which agent of the Department of Education are you talking about? Ms.
Her uncle?
Right?
Her uncle?
Well, Your Honor, we can see that there was state action in this case because the school implemented a zero-tolerance policy and Gerard, Shaniqua's uncle, was a state actor who used his authority to create a dangerous situation for the Bradway sisters. But we contend that the appellants cannot show that such action rose to the level of deliberate indifference. To satisfy the deliberate indifference standard, the plaintiff must prove 4 elements.
I saw this.
And of these 4 elements, the willful disregard to their safety is the most difficult to prove. Many state-created danger cases will hinge on this element.
Well, when the trouble started, all the school told them to go to the police and report it.
No, Your Honor, the school suspended both students when they fought in the cafeteria in accordance to the zero-tolerance policy.
And when the parents came in, they said, report it, go to the police and file a report.
Yes, Your Honor, the school did suggest to the parents to file a report, to file a criminal charge against Shaniqua, which they did, and Shaniqua was found juvenile delinquent.
And even after they received a no-contact order from the court, basically all they said to them is, look, we can't guarantee the safety, you should take them to a private school. Is that enough?
Well, Your Honor, although the facts do show that the Bradley sisters experienced specific types of bullying, the facts do not show that they gave that same detailed description to the school. So, when the school evaluated the risk of harm, they found that Shaniqua was indeed a threat to the Bradley sisters, but that the threat was not that serious, Your Honors.
They found that when? When did they draw that conclusion?
Well, Your Honor, the Bradley sisters only made 2 formal reports to the school. And furthermore...
But when did they draw the conclusion that you just articulated?
That...
The conclusion that, there wasn't really, they weren't really a big threat.
I'm saying that because, Your Honor, the Bradley sisters only made 2 reports to the school. And in those 2 reports, the facts do not show that they gave a detailed description of how they were bullied. So when the school evaluated the situation, they found that it was not that serious, Your Honor.
When was that? After the second complaint? They concluded that it wasn't a big deal?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, was that after the no contact order or before?
That was before.
So there were the 2 complaints, and then there was the adjudication of juvenile delinquent, correct?
That That was after the school suggested to the parents that they file criminal charges.
Okay. And the no contact order came in what relationship to the second complaint?
Well, the no contact order came to the school from the court saying that the no contact order never instructed the school to protect the Bradway sisters from harm.
I understand that, but when was that in relationship to the second complaint when the school was deciding this really is not a big deal?
Well, Your Honor, the school just evaluated the situation and determined that there was no serious risk of harm.
Okay, I understand that. My question is in what relationship, in other words, the school made that determination, I understand. In what was the time sequence between that conclusion and the receipt of the no contact orders?
Well, Your Honor, I'm not sure.
Okay, you may continue.
In Sanford versus Siles, the court rejected the mother's claim that the school and the counselor had acted with willful disregard because the school and the counselor had evaluated the students' potential risk for harm and found that there was no credible risk for suicide. Similarly, in this case, the Bradway sisters cannot establish that the school was at fault for the harm they faced. At best, the Bradway sisters only made 2 formal reports to the school.
Okay, but let me ask you this. At some point, the principal said, maybe you should take your children out of this school, correct? If the principal is making that suggestion, doesn't that also suggest to the court that the principal was thinking, this is bad enough, this is a bad enough problem that maybe for the safety of the Brathwaite children, they shouldn't be in the same school with Shaniqua?
Yes, sir, I understand what you're saying, that the principal recognized the issue that Shaniqua was at, that Shaniqua threatened the safety of the Bradway sisters. And, Your Honor, that was after the principal and the school had already done all they could to protect the Bradway sisters. So they simply suggested to the parents that they remove Shaniqua from the school because they knew that they had already done all they could to defend them from Shaniqua.
So they could have expelled her under the zero tolerance policy, right? They could have expelled her, or they could have moved her to another school. Moved her, meaning Shaniqua, to another school.
Well, Your Honor, they could not move Shaniqua to any other school because, as the facts show, every other school was full to maximum capacity.
So wasn't the school full because the principal had transferred all the bad students from her school to this other school? So there was no room to transfer this child?
The facts do state that Principal Friday transferred all the bad students to other schools, but facts also state that was an opinion made by the other school officials from different schools, Your Honor.
But because of that, the other school was filled, so this child could not be transferred.
Exactly, Your Honor. Shaniqua couldn't go any other place except for Durham Mali.
So isn't that the state-created action? By creating the situation where you could not transfer the school, wasn't that a state-created danger?
Well, no, Your Honor, because a state's failure to protect an individual from private action simply does not constitute a violation of the Due Process Clause. So, Your Honor, there was no constitutional violation of the Bradway sisters' liberty, therefore making it.
I understand that, but when the state creates the danger, isn't that one of the exceptions? At least that's one of the prongs?
Yes, Your Honor, that is one of the 4 prongs, and I'm saying that the appellants can indeed prove that 3 of the 4 prongs did happen, that they were true.
Okay, so which three are the ones you're conceding?
I'm conceding that the harm ultimately caused was foreseeable because the school did see that Shaniqua was a problem to the Bradway sisters, and I'm also conceding that there was a relationship between the state and the plaintiff such that the plaintiff was a foreseeable victim of the defendant's acts. That's pretty much saying the same thing as that the harm caused was foreseeable and that the school knew what was going on, right, Your Honor? And that a state actor affirmatively used his or her authority to create a dangerous situation to the Bradway sisters or render them more vulnerable to it. Your Honor, for the 4th prong, Uncle Gerard, Shaniqua's uncle, he was a state actor because school officials are indeed state actors as stated in TLO. So he created a dangerous situation for the Bradway sisters by placing Shaniqua in the school when she was out of district, Your Honor. And what I'm saying that prong number 2, which states that a state actor with a degree of culpability or willful disregard to the plaintiff's safety